But one thing we have two topics we're going to talk about today. And the first one is rebranding, because you just went through a whole rebranding process.
Yes.
You were formerly known as James Worthy.
Yeah.
Now James Artissen. What sparked that transition and rebrand?
Man, well, of course, the world at one point knew me as James Worthy, and they knew that it was two James Worthys.
Yes.
And, really, for lack of better words, it was just getting rid of the confusion, getting rid of not only having the two names, but, getting rid of the fact that, I didn't know he played basketball. I didn't know he did music. I didn't know he did that, So it was just kind of that, and it was just time for a change.
Absolutely. And there could be multiple reasons why people rebrand. Like you said, obviously there was somebody else very famous who had the same name as you. And James Worthy is your government name, right?
It is.
See, so it's like, it wasn't like you were trying to steal this person's name. You just happened, shout out to your mom and dad, they gave you the same name.
Yeah.
But, you're obviously got a lot of notoriety, but he does as well. And like we mentioned earlier, him as an athlete, he can't necessarily rebrand and change his name, because athletes, it's much harder versus being a music artist and a producer. It's done all the time. People rebrand all the time. Mm-hmm. So with the rebranding process, what are some of the first steps that someone needs to take as a music artist or a producer to start the rebranding process?
I think in the beginning, you just got to research the name that you're trying to use, so making sure that, of course, nobody else has that name. Nobody has the domain name for your website. Nobody has the social media handles, making sure that, that name that you're going for isn't copywritten already, registered somewhere, just kind of doing the research just to figure out, where that name is. And then once you figured that out and you can use it, then you need to claim all of those different things and go from there.
Absolutely. So there is going to be some financial standpoint that comes into play, because if you're going to go through all the effort of rebranding, whatever you go to your new name, you're going to want to own it.
Absolutely.
Ownership is important when it comes to your music, your name, your brand, everything, most definitely. Was there any hiccups along your journey of rebranding that you could share that maybe someone else could avoid?
You know what? Honestly, it's kind of been a smooth ride.
Yeah.
And reason being is because, I've had a big following before, and a lot of those people just kind of followed me,
yes,
into the new journey. But also, too, I had a great situation in the sense of me owning my catalog, and me having control and access of my catalog. So it was just a smooth thing of just kind of switching the names, within the catalog, which was, very easy on my side because, everybody doesn't have that luxury. But then also too, again, I did the research. I made sure that, the name that I decided to go with now was usable. And, even past that, the name is a significant name to me. Artisan is pretty much the meaning of you're the best at what you do, and that's how I feel about myself. I'm the best at what I do. So I felt like that name just embodied me.
How long was that thought process in the works of what am I going to rebrand to?
I had the name in my mind for some time.
Yeah.
I think it was just the timing of using it, because technically I could have did it a long time ago, but I don't think I was in the right headspace for it at the time, and I don't think I just didn't think I was ready for it. So I think now is the perfect time that I could have done it. And I'm just in a different headspace and a different energy in my life and what I have going on. And, even in the sense of I'm creating my debut album, and that's very, very special to me. So, I would want everything to just be right before the world ever hears it.
I would imagine you definitely have to be in the right headspace, because going into a rebrand is a lot of work. Essentially, there's so many places that we have to change our name. I used this example earlier, like if you get your new debit card in the mail, you don't realize how many people got that debit card and that expiration date on file.
It's the same thing.
Same thing with your name, like all your digital platforms, your YouTube channel, logos, websites, all that has to be changed.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're not in the right headspace, that some of that's going to fall to the wayside.
I agree.
You got to be in the right space to do that because, of course, I feel like you want to try to get everything done seamlessly, but as quick as possible as well.
Yeah, I agree. And, me being a tech nerdy kind of guy, I understand what goes into it and what things look like on the back end and, making sure that metadata is correct and making sure that, even the spelling is correct and all the different little pieces that go into, putting the puzzle together. And, those are the things that I had to do. And, look, honestly, I ain't had no team of people doing it for me.
Yeah.
I did it all myself because I understand what I wanted things to look like and what I needed things to, happen, basically. And sometimes waiting on other people and giving the reins and access to do it is it's a hit or miss.
Bruh, I struggle with that. I ain't gonna lie. I really struggle with, and I openly admit I struggle with delegating stuff. I really do because I know how I want it done. I want the time frame that I want it done. So that's why majority of the stuff I do for myself. I have some things that I'll outsource, but the other thing is too, if you outsource something to somebody and they don't get it right, now it could potentially cause a strain on our relationship. And
That's
I don't,
true.
So it's like, if you can do it yourself, go for it.
Yeah. Self-sufficiency is always the best way to me.
Right. No, absolutely. So any artist out there that's thinking about changing their name, one of the biggest important things is just making sure they're ready to do so because there's a lot that has to go into it. Definitely. What other tips or advice would you offer them?
Besides doing the research, I would definitely say, what is your strategy? Do you have a different strategy from where you started from the other name to where you're at now?
Yeah.
Is it anything different that the public or your audience would see now versus from before? And then also too, with your new name, what does it embody? What does it mean? Does it mean anything different? Like basically in a nutshell, what are we getting from you now that we haven't before? That's the biggest thing. And even I had to think about that as becoming James Artissen is what am I giving my fans in the audience now that they haven't seen, they haven't heard, or, X, Y, and Z, and I really had to sit back and think about that. And now people are seeing, my evolution as an artist and as a creative and as a CEO and as just someone as an entity. They're seeing the evolution and the growth, and they're seeing in real time that, look, this dude is like doing it at the highest level by himself. No cosign, nobody standing next to him, nothing, and I think that's the most important because it shows your authenticity. It shows, again, your growth, but then it also shows that, it shows a little bit of humility too.
Yes. Because
I don't have to stand next to somebody. I'm standing on me.
You don't need validation.
I bet on me, period.
Every time. And that, again, that's what a lot of people do is they seek validation. And it's going to lead into our next topic we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And I see people on social media and their whole page is pictures of them with celebrities that maybe they met in passing for like 5 seconds. And I feel like to me, that's validation. You need to be standing next to somebody with a bigger name than you to validate who you are. And you should never have to feel that way. You should be able to stand on your own.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not as big, that's why with my platform, for me, this is what works for me. Yes, I'll have some celebrities come through from time to time, but honestly, I like to sit down and look someone in the face that's, kind of at the same level I'm at, or maybe even hasn't quite made it to the level. They're just starting out, if that makes sense, because I feel like I want to give a platform for people to shine. It's bigger than me. So I'm not seeking that validation of, I got to constantly have celebrities come through all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because you're giving them an opportunity as well.
Yes.
And you're providing a platform and visibility for those that may not even have that option before. So to me, it's a beautiful thing.
And for the rebrand too, it's like a fresh start almost.
Oh yeah. It gave me like a new life, a new identity, a new way of just kind of doing things my way. You know, it gave me like a new confidence, honestly, because now I don't have to compete with another name or another person. You know, that confusion is gone.
Yes.
You know, and now I can solely focus on me and focus on, you know, how I want to, you know, continue to market and brand, you know, my brand, you know, to the highest level.
Anything in particular that you can speak on that you left with James Worthy that you didn't bring over to James Artissen?
Man, I left a lot of toxic situations and negative situations and energy and even negative people.
Yeah.
You know, I let that go. And, you know, I'm only concerned with positive energy and positive people and positive opportunities. You know, anything negative, I can't deal with it, you know, because I know where I'm going and I know, you know, the goals that I have and things that I have set, and anything that's trying to disrupt that, you know, it's just noise to me.
100%. We can't feed into that because we will become consumed with it. It'll consume our life. We'll go down rabbit holes that we don't need to go down. And I agree with you. I feel like that rebranding it's slick like a fresh start for you. It's like, okay, what happened over here with James Worthy? I can leave it here. Some things I'm going to bring with me.
Yeah.
The real supporters, the real people, but the fake toxic energy.
Yeah, we let that go.
We let that go because, listen, we only got one shot at life. We can't be walking around dealing with this all the time because it's already enough negativity out in the world.
That's a fact.
Was it on social media? You started a new social media name. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody the reason why you didn't use the same social media name. You started a whole new account per se.
So it was two things. So on my older account, for really the biggest thing was they wouldn't let me change the name.
Yeah.
So, you know, anybody that is been verified on Instagram for such a long time, they kind of make it difficult for you to change your @ name, you know, unless you're going through the whole rigmarole with that. And, you know, it's just a hassle. So I'm like, you know what, let me just leave that be. You know, I'll create a whole new account and, you know, continue to funnel, you know, the audience that I had from the older account to the new one. You know, however long that takes. But also, really in hindsight, it was the best situation for me because now I understand where my real fans are or who they are. I'm seeing the new fans come in, the new supporters, etc. And we're just continuing to build. You know, we're building all of the new platforms, you know, under James Artissen. So to me, I would rather have it this way versus just trying to hold on to what used to be.
And whether like Instagram wants to admit to it or not, I feel like they give a little bit more push to newer accounts than they do like older existing accounts. Because like I spoke on earlier, I noticed that now that I have a little bit bigger following, I get decent engagement, but I feel like I got better engagement when I didn't have quite as many followers. And maybe it's too because the Instagram algorithms have obviously changed. Now only a certain percentage of our people see it.
Yeah.
But it's easier for you to focus, like you said, on the core fan base, the core supporters who really support you. You know now who is real because they're the ones that came with you over to James Artissen.
Exactly.
And you did a phenomenal job of letting people know too.
Thank you.
You didn't just pop up one day and say, "Hey, I'm James Artissen." I feel like you brought awareness to that. How important was that part of the process?
Super important because, you know, you gotta let people know what's going on. Like you gotta make it known and make it loud and, you know, just let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I got planned. You know, that's exactly what I did. You know, it wasn't like a huge rollout, but it was a big enough one for people to get the picture.
Yes.
You know, but my biggest thing was, okay, cool. I made it known that I did change the name, but I stayed consistent on the change. So meaning that, you know, a lot of people have seen that I've been on a press run and doing all these different things to stay visible. And that's what you have to do. That's the biggest thing is consistency with the visibility, consistency with the content, consistency with, you know, letting people see you and hear you. Like, cause that was my whole thing. It was just like, people got to see my face. People got to hear my voice. People got to see that I'm out. People got to know what's happening. You know, because if you just change your name and you just put up a couple posts and whatever, that's not really going to do much.
Absolutely. And some people may see the new name and be like, who is this person I'm following? You know, like you got to put like an announcement out there and make it be known. And the true people who truly support you are going to follow you because yes, they love your music, but they love you as a person.
Exactly.
And I feel like that runs so much deeper. It's like, yeah, you want them to love my work, but do they like me as well? Am I a likable person?